Good evening, everybody. How are we doing? And we are back again with live with Tunji, increasing your impact and your influence. And tonight we've got a very good friend of mine, Victor Tarfa, who's going to really be talking to us tonight about what we need to do to make impact and have influence. So, how are you doing, sir? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here, I must tell you. As in, it's been a while, but I'm pleased we can see catch up this way. So thank
Yes,
you for the
yes.
invite.
That's fine. Thank you for saying yes and coming on. I know that you're really going to give us some good tips about what we need to do to make impact and have influence. So basically, this week, every week we come in here talking to you guys, letting you understand that, hey, 2020 is not over and we still got what it takes. I believe that God has designed us for more and created us to be more than what we are right now. So,
Yeah,
despite whatever's happening, despite of what's going on, we can still
yeah,
make it. We
yeah,
can still do what we've been created to do,
yeah,
in our lives, in our businesses, in our ministries,
yeah,
marriages, in every area of life. We have been created for more. So that's what this show is about. And tonight, Victor is going to be speaking to us just about that. So let him introduce himself. So who are you, sir? Let people know who you are.
Well, my name is Victor Tarfa. As it shows on the screen, I am a transformational speaker, a mentor, author of the book Seasons of Life, corporate MC. I call myself a preacher too because I find myself in on the stages in churches. I wouldn't say once in a while. It's beginning to become quite often now. So I decided to just add that to my list. And I'm a husband and father of 3 boys.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. And you before COVID, before lockdown, you speak a lot, like every month you're on a stage, either in the UK or in Africa or in the Caribbean or somewhere like that. So yeah, let people know about your speaking thing.
Yeah. My key focus is transformation. I can say mainly I can say I help young Africans to ignite change for
Wow.
and create a better future. I think that's ultimately what drives my heart every single day. That's I think my ultimate purpose. Why I think I was created, and so I find myself literally traveling everywhere. In fact, even this year I still traveled anywhere. I managed to squeeze 2 in February before we got locked down in March. So I was in Kigali in Rwanda to speak, and then when I got back, I went to Nigeria again, where I had to speak at like it was an art show, and also I had to come up with a speech there for the guests that were there and everything else. So once I finished, I came back in March. I should have been going to a lot more countries this year actually, but once COVID hit and all the airports shut, I had no choice but to sit here. So I've done a few online too, quite all right. So I can thank God for the internet because still the message still goes out.
Yes, that's it. That's it. And that's what this is about, is trying to tell people that no matter what,
Mm,
you can still put that message out there.
true.
We all have what it takes to release whatever is in us. I truly believe it. I think the thing is, most people think because you're not seeing it right now,
Yeah.
then it's not happening. But
Mm,
most times you're never gonna see it straight
yeah.
away. It's gonna
True.
take
True.
time, it's gonna take effort, it's gonna take hard work,
True.
for you to see that very thing. If God
Mm,
showed you the story,
mm,
He showed you the glory, you're gonna say
yeah.
no. You're gonna
True.
say
True.
no
True.
because
True.
going through the story in order to
Yeah.
get to that glory is gonna be
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
So most times we're not gonna see, the things we're gonna go through in order to get to that level that we need to get
Mm.
to. So what does impact and influence mean to you?
When you sent me the topic, I was blown away. I was quite excited because I've actually that's exactly what I've been working on for the last week. As in,
Wow.
I was just about to go and have a shower and just picked up my phone and just thought, let's Google the word influence because I think for me, influence is one of the most important words that rings in my head every single day. And I just Googled the word influence, and when I
Hmm.
read the meaning, I was shocked. I was like, hang on, this has just changed a massive perspective in my head because you're like the capacity, to have an effect, on
Hmm.
the character, behavior, or development, of someone, something, or to be the effect itself. So when I read it, it sounded a bit bad I didn't spend the whole time, when you're in the shower, you think a lot, So I spent the whole time thinking about like the capacity. So the word there was actually capacity, which I think I dwelt on for quite a while, but when I was checking more, it says to have an effect on the character. And I like the end where it now said, or you are actually the effect yourself. So I thought double level, it's either you're the effect yourself or you can actually influence the effect itself. So there's like two steps you can be at. You can work yourself up to a level where you are actually the effect yourself, or you can affect the effect. So when I saw the word, I was like, it's such a powerful word. And when you came up with it, I just thought to myself, I was like, wow, I couldn't think of a better thing to be talking about today. And I think if I could go forward a bit more on that, I decided I'm like, hang on, let me just get a bit scientific about this. So I went looking for Newton's law.
Okay.
And because I was trying to understand the sort of word capacity, so I was like, okay, fine, what? Let me go and look for Newton's law. So I now said that an object remains in a state of motion unless a resultant force acts on it. So obviously if you're the effect, you're the resultant force. Or a moving object continues to move in the same speed and the same direction. Then I said, okay, there's three laws. What does the second one say? And I said, the force of an object is equal to the mass. Is equal to the mass multiplied by the acceleration. I'm getting very scientific now, sorry. but the last one that tripped me when it said, when two objects interact.
Wow.
So when you meet somebody, so two objects interact and they apply forces to each other of equal magnitude or opposite direction. So influence is standard everywhere you find yourself. And that's when two objects interact, so two people interact, they are definitely going to influence each other. And it's like in the opposite direction. So it's either you do it together or you do it in the opposite direction. But whichever way it is in this life, we are constantly influencing people, characters, behaviors, systems. It's like literally nonstop. You can't get away from it. Everybody is at some point.
Wow. That's deep stuff. And you're focusing on that word capacity. Okay, let's go more into that, because I'm looking at the Greek word for capacity, and it is, I can't even pronounce it. Chroritikoteria. And it means ability, competence, capability, efficiency, faculty. How can you really explain capacity in order to influence someone? Because that means in order for us to influence, we need to have the ability to influence. We need to be capable of influencing. We need to have competence in ourselves that we have what it takes to make impact and to influence someone to do something.
You see, I believe capacity, knowledge, I think, is what's key for me, because you mentioned the competency, the ability, the knowledge, the information, the wisdom. And I think these are all key words we look at when we're looking at the word capacity. And I think if we're going to influence people, we need to have that capacity, because here I'm sure we're talking about positive influence, where we change systems, we change behaviors, we change the way people actually do things. And I think that's most important thing for us now. So for us to have that capacity, and that's why that word blew my mind when I thought to myself, hang on, if I want to have major influence in the world, then it's key for me to focus on building myself to have the capacity to actually deliver that influence. And that's why everywhere I go to, everything I do, I'm constantly building myself, because at the end of the day, you have to have the competency, you have to have the capacity to actually influence that change. Because when you look at the word impact, impact is an action of one object coming forcibly in contact with another. So that means, it doesn't say the object just coming in contact just like that. It has to be forcibly. You see, I even when we go back to Newton's law of motion, when it said the object remains moving in one straight line. So the way it is, because it's in one straight line until something else forcibly, and that's where impact comes in. So until there is an impact, that's the only time you're going to influence the direction the person is actually going. So we have to have the capacity to impact so we can influence. And that's the most important thing we have to consider every single time we think of this word influence.
So why is that important to a Christian? Because most times we Christians, like, oh, God's got me, God's got everything in control. I don't need to do anything. I just need to let God do everything, kind of thing. Why is capacity important to a believer in order for them to make impact? I believe that God created us to be able to have a life of meaning, to be able to show forth God's glory in every area of our life.
True.
How can we show forth that glory if we don't have capacity to bring that glory forth?
You see, one thing is we cannot bring the glory forth if we don't have the capacity to actually do it. And I think that's extremely important for us. Like, as human, see, we're all created for purpose. God, everybody in this earth was dropped in this earth for a reason. And I believe the ultimate purpose we're created for is to serve. And I think that's what's key. So no one came here by chance. Nobody came here by mistake. Even this conversation we're having here now, I don't think it's by chance. I don't think it's by mistake. In fact, the truth I'll tell you now, I don't believe in logic. And I don't believe in coincidence. And the two things I don't believe in, logic and coincidence. When somebody says it's not logical, nothing is logical. When the right person says, oh, we're gonna put a plane in the air, up till today, when I get on a plane, I still think, how does this big thing leave the ground? Yes, a scientist guy can come and explain the whole thing to me, but the point they started talking about it wasn't logical, and that's the truth. So if you want to do anything like exploits in this world, even the Bible says, and we will do exploits. If you want to do exploits, you can't be thinking logical. You have to think beyond it. You see, and that's the first thing. And when you say coincidence, I don't believe in coincidence one bit. Nothing happens by chance. You see, nothing. So I believe everything in this world is programmed. You see, and it's up to you. You see, and I think in life we've been created to direct things in a certain way. And the good thing about God is that His mercy and His grace. So if you go off course, He will reroute you back to where you're supposed to be. And I think that's what we do. But it's never been important for us now. Because when I talk about capacity, I'm talking wisdom, I'm talking knowledge. You see, and the thing is, you have to be moving, to create an impact. Which is key. So if you don't have that capacity to move, so you have to, and the truth is, let me take it back a bit now. Looking at purpose, you see, when you look at purpose, you see, what is purpose actually? It is the ultimate job that God has given you to come and serve here in this earth. And you see, when you think of serving, you see, that's why every time I say write your mission statement, it always starts with I help. So that means we've all been called here to help one way or another. There's this very old picture that went round about a young girl, literally like a baby, a little your daughter. She was walking, and then she saw there was like a statue thing of Jesus carrying the cross, and she stopped to help him, And I still have that picture on my phone. Someone forwarded it to me maybe like over 10 years ago, and I still have it on my phone. And I'm thinking, why will a little child just see, oh, this man looks like he's suffering carrying a cross? Let me help him. So naturally, human beings, we've all been born with that natural thing in which we want to help, want to do stuff. But the reason a lot of us don't do it is because we feel we don't have the capacity. But to get that capacity, you need to make tons of sacrifices.
Wow.
And I got there.
Wow. So how can you build this capacity? Because, some people will be saying, well, I live in Nigeria, or I live in Kenya, or, I live in Afghanistan. Oh, I'm not, the Queen is not my mom, or Bill Gates is not my father. So, I can't really have that capacity. I can't really have that influence that you're talking about. How can somebody build this capacity in order for them to influence and make impact?
Well, number one, I think with building capacity, I think like now I said, to me, I think the ultimate thing is knowledge. You see, so if you see, and I think now we're in a day in which you can literally get knowledge from everywhere. You see, but in as much as we can get knowledge from everywhere, which I remember I was talking about, I did a video earlier about the knowledge thing, which even though as much as we get knowledge from anywhere, it's still important for us to understand the fact that we still need somebody to guide us. If you go to the Bible, there's nobody that has operated without some guardians. Or in fact, I'm about to start a series now, my Sonspiration series, which I'm actually going to call "Who Are You Rolling With?" You see, because even when you look at Jesus now, John the Baptist came before him, professed his own this thing, then he left his disciples behind to carry on from where he actually stopped. So I think for us it's important that no matter how much you do stuff yourself, you see, you're a coach yourself, which you coach people on the books and everything else. But it's important to understand that you sit down and think, oh, I can do it myself. And as you said, somebody might be in Nigeria, somebody might be anywhere in the world. The person might be thinking around the fact that, you know what, I cannot do anything. But let me tell you guys one thing. You see, when you look at purpose, once you have purpose, once you decide, you know what, God, show me this is what I need to do. This is this is what I need to pursue in my life. When you seek purpose, do you know what? In fact, I was thinking today, I said, if some people just sat down this whole lockdown, they did not do anything else. They just focused on either praying or searching deep. What is my purpose? Why am I here? To me, I think even if you've gone the last 7 months and you do not do anything else apart from just sitting down and seeking your purpose, you might be thinking, oh, you know what, I've just wasted 7 months of lockdown or 7 months of quarantine or 7 months of COVID. But to be honest, I will tell you the truth is, if that's the only thing you have done, to me, I think you have won. Because there's some people are walking around who are just doing different things. Age is not on their side, and they still haven't decided what they want to do with their lives. So even if that's all you've done, I think it's like more or less nearly 80% of the problem has been solved already. The remaining 20% just go and act on what is. You know, I was sitting at home today. Let's just tell you guys how powerful purpose is. I was sitting at home today, and then I got a text message from a lady who said, "Oh, I need help with my son. He needs to make some decisions. Can you speak to him, please?" Which I did. And there's a young guy from Nigeria who sent me. He just registered his child in Nigeria. He helps young kids in football and sports, like a small town in my state in northern Nigeria. And he sent me a certificate. I said, "Oh, I'm really glad we just registered our charity now in Nigeria and everything else. And I'm really pleased. And I'll just send this to show you and say thank you to you." So I'm like, why is he telling me thank you? He now say, "Oh, because you have paid a massive influence in me actually doing this." You know, and I just said to you, I said, my purpose is to help young Africans to ignite change. So I believe that's my purpose. And if I'm just sitting down, minding my own business, and people are asking those questions, it just reassures me every single day that, yes, you are certainly living in your purpose because you didn't go to look for anybody. The people are the ones looking for you, and they're the ones asking questions. So I think it's very important that when you have purpose, you begin to build the capacity in that side. And I always tell people a story. One of my, in fact, my mentor, I met my mentor at a Toastmasters meeting. I never met him before. I met him at a Toastmasters meeting, and then we got talking, and that's how we connected. Right through his lockdown, because he's a very busy man, he had a bit more time in his lockdown, and we spent time, we're breaking down so many different levels. In fact, I learned so much about his lockdown. And his own kind of case was a case of when the student was ready, the master. And even in the cover of my book, you can see his name is even there in the cover of my book. You know, he was one of the make I said thank you too, you know, because he majorly impacted my life. And you'd be amazed that I've had coaches which I've paid for coaching lessons, for coaching time and everything else, but he particularly has refused to take it. Just alone what I've met you, I know where you're going, I know what you're doing, and I just choose just pour on you and just invest on you. But because I was willing to build that capacity, he is willing to give his time and energy because he just feels he needs to do that for me. So if you're sitting there and thinking, I can't afford to pay for coaching, or I can't afford where it is now, there's always something you can do where you are. As I said, it's all about service. You go up that serving, somebody's going to see you when the time comes. There's no coincidence. You see, so you have to put yourself out there first. Then someone will clock you, and before you realize, they will lift you up.
Wow. So you need to be able to be bold enough to approach in order to receive.
Yeah, exactly.
So what if you didn't go to that Toastmasters event?
Then I will have missed out. You see, and that's the thing, as I said, when you look at religion, see, a lot of times, me growing up in Nigeria now, we could easily get caught in, I'm just going to pray. But when you look and you think, there's a lot more. You know, yes. There's favor, there's grace, everything else. Don't get me wrong. There's some things I know I've got or found in this life in which I know that I'd never. It sort of shocks me. Wow, I'm surprised this happened. You see, and as I said to you, I don't believe in coincidence. I just believe that it's the favor or the grace of God that things went that certain way. But the most important thing I said to you is, I always, as I said, just take that first step, and you'd be amazed at how much massive difference it actually makes.
So getting up and taking the first step to building guys, I want to hear you in the chat. I want to hear you, please. If you're listening to this and this is resonating with you, you need to be commenting in the chat. Okay, so capacity. Whew, man. Okay, so how can we, as kingdom people, even kingdom entrepreneurs, because I remember you came to my kingdom kingdompreneurs event. So how can we as kingdom entrepreneurs, how can we actually really truly make lasting impact and influence? Because obviously we know the Tony Robbins and all these guys. I actually did not know Tony Robbins was a Christian. And most of all these guys, Russell Brunson and Anik Singhal, and I'm just realizing now because of a particular coaching group that I'm part of that these guys are actually Christians and believers. I'm like, whoa, I never knew. So I'm thinking, how can we? Because they have reached a level of impact and influence. How can we get to that point whereby we are impacting people around the world and not just in our family? You speak in different countries and on stages, and you're impacting not just Nigerians. You're impacting different cultures. So how can someone begin to do that? Because how did you get into impacting cultures and moving just from impacting someone just from your state? Because you're from the north, I'm from the south. How did you move from that level to be able to start impacting different cultures?
You see, I had a standard value as in when I decided to start speaking. A lot of people go into speaking for different reasons. So if anyone watching this who is a speaker, some people go into speaking, fine, I want to go into speaking because I want to get paid to speak. Some say they want to be MC. The different things you could choose to be. But my own ultimate goal when I stepped in was I want to create value to attract opportunities. That was my goal, and I've stayed with that every single time. And when I say create value, that means service. And so when I'm looking at value, it was based on service. So all I said was I was going to serve my way to the top. That was what was key for me. So what I decided to do was
wait, don't drive by. Don't drive by. Serve your way to the top.
Yeah.
Oh, guys. Oh, that is key to make an impact. And the funny thing is, this generation don't understand that.
Yeah.
They want the quick fix. They just want to get on stages and, they just want to do things quickly. And I'm like, no, you've got to serve your way. That means there are times when you weren't getting paid.
True.
Times when probably you didn't even, I don't know, maybe you weren't driving and you didn't have a bus pass, but there's somehow you got to that event just to do what you needed to do. And talk about that for a while before you move on. Serving your way to the top.
I will give you a very good example now. One night when I was about 10, 14 years ago, I'll say I was in my dance around about 14 years ago. Yeah. I was spending the weekend at my friend's house in Greenwich. And then these are other friends who live in Coventry. They came down. And when they met us at my friend's house, and I said, oh, let's go to around Greenwich in London, there was someone having a birthday party. So they said, oh, let's go up there. I was on my way to my cousin's birthday party. You guys just join us. And it was obviously all Nigerian. So it's typical Nigerian thing where you're not invited, you go anyway. So yeah, obviously we're all Nigerian, so we know the game. So like, yeah, let's go. So we jumped in the car and we went up there to where the party was. And as soon as I walked through the door, like all the other guys just came in and just went straight through or to the kitchen, not to go and get food or anything else, as typical young men, and then but when I walked in, the first thing I looked around because I didn't even know whose party it was. I didn't know whose birthday it was. But the first question I asked was, so when I came down, like, whose party is this? And there were these two girls that were sitting in the corner and they bursted out laughing. Because to them, that was very unusual. As in, who is this strange person that turned up at this party? And the first question is asking is, whose party is it? But you might wonder, why was I asking whose party it was? Because everywhere I go to, I want to make sure I have impact there. And how do I have impact? I serve. You see, so I have to make sure that when I go somewhere, it's either okay, or help you guys put the chairs away at the end, or we'll help you guys put the chairs out, or I must do so, or maybe move the drinks around, or I always have to offer my service one way or another. And so even by the time you leave, you will know you have made impact. You see, and so to me, I think when it comes to impact for influence or whatever, there's no other, that service always plays a significant role for me. And so even when I started speaking, I was out there to speak because I wanted to serve the people. And that was what's key for me. And sometimes in life, is people see through you. They see your heart. I see young people who maybe decided speaking yesterday, and then you want to do, oh, how much are you going to pay me? And I'm thinking, mate, you just came yesterday, and you're talking about how much you want to pay. And I know because I've been in this speaking field for a while. I've had the privilege of meeting some of the biggest speakers in the world. I've been in a room with them. We've had these conversations. So I know the inner caucus. As in Nigeria, I would say inner caucus. I know the inner caucus. I've been in these green rooms where you're having these conversations, where you're talking to. So I know what happens with the financial side of things. So I know everything. You see? So I've been privileged to know most of this stuff. So because I know this, I always look at these guys and I always laugh and say, "Don't worry. You think these guys that you see up there, and you think it's yesterday." When you look at the process they've been through, the long process, you realize that it's the same journey every single time. That service always plays a significant role. And for me, I think that is what is key. Because everywhere I go, the first question I ask myself is, how can I help? And that's what's key for me. Even when I go to events, even when I'm speaking at events, I actually arrive early. And I'm Number one, I want to sort of meet up with the audience, know what's happening. And secondly, I want to just help them. I think, okay, fine, even just putting up the banners, because sometimes you might be a suit and you don't want to sweat too much. Or even if they're struggling, just check the suit off and just help them out. When you finish, you go back to the toilet and just freshen up and come out and speak or do what you need to do. So I don't just go somewhere and feel, oh, I'm that big boy, so I'm going to just sit in the green room, wait for my name to be called, and they're going to come out. But no, as much as possible, I'm thinking around, how can I serve? How can we move things around? What can I put away? If I see something that's not right, how do we put this right? It's constantly what it is. So I really want to emphasize when it comes to influence, and I think what is key is service, service, and service. If you serve people, you will definitely make an impact. You're making an impact, you will definitely create that dent, as Nalem Priestley would say. You definitely create that dent in the world. They will know you were there because you served them.
Wow. It's reminding me of church. I didn't want to go into that, but if you're a preacher, a worship leader, and sometimes you're an instrumentalist, sometimes people just want to get paid.
They
don't want to serve. Like, we've been in this game for what, I don't know, maybe 20 years or something now, and it's like, we've served. We have served without getting paid. We've eaten just jollof rice and chicken, and thank you. And, and it has helped us to get to where we are because we serve. And that's what this generation needs to understand, that you can serve, seriously, serving those that have gone before you. Serving those that you're even the same peers, and even those under you. It doesn't demean you serving someone younger than you.
Doesn't.
Serving is just being of a helping hand. That's all it is. You see a need, you try to help, and that will, because when someone sees that you're serving, they know someone that you don't know that they can connect you to.
It's true.
That can help accelerate your life or whatever it is. Service is important, guys. Serve your way to the top. I love that. Woo! Wow. Continue, sir. Continue.
So to me, I think, so I said to you, when I came to the game, I said I need to create value to attract opportunities. And most of the opportunities that have actually come my way have just been down to that. Because everyone just knows that, okay, fine, I said to you, I focus on having a servant heart. And because people can see, most of the time you're talking to someone, I was talking to people sometimes, I'm just watching them thinking, okay, I know why this guy is talking to me. You see, I love people like the late Dr. Miles Monroe, because he's somebody which I listen to up till now, and he's one of the kind of people who can say has made massive impact and influence in this world. Because even after he has gone, where I'm still, there was a day I went out running in the morning and I listened to his one of the messages. And I was amazed at the way that message was crafted. It was as if he did it yesterday, as if he knew that COVID was coming, or it was COVID time, because he delivered it like he was talking about leadership and change. And I could not believe how it was so relevant to the now that he was. You see, and that's one person that has impact and has influence. So even when I listen to him every time, I'm thinking to myself, in fact, I wish he was still alive. Wherever he was, I've gone for his events or whatever it is, because it was just on a different level. And this kind of thing, we're talking about this whole thing about influence, and he mentioned the same thing about how important the service is, because if you've come to the world, your purpose is to serve the world. You focus on that, delivering value to the world. I mean, the only way you can deliver value to the world as far as I'm concerned is to serve. So you're talking to people sometimes, they're coming up with so many different things, you're looking at a person thinking, and in fact, one thing that Tomas Moreau just said to us, people come to you, not based on what you have. You see, so influence is not about popularity. Some people are popular, but they're not influential. They might think they're influential, you see, but the moment they leave where they are, they might be in an office. Yeah, they are popular and they think they're influential, but the moment they leave, they've made no impact. By the next day, they are forgotten. You see, and a lot of people don't realize that. So if I'm African, so I see it happening every single time. Somebody next day, once that position is taken away from them, that's the only reason why people are even talking to them. They haven't talking to them. Once that position is gone, you have not made any impact. You are forgotten. You see, and it's such a sad place for us to find ourselves. You know, because at the end of your life, as they always say, that dash in between, from the day you were born to the day you were listening, how many people have you served? How much influence have you made? How much impact have you made in the world? And I think that's so important. And we have to remember every single time, because we get carried away these days. Oh, when we talk about influencers, you know, as in we're either on with social media and everything else. And because we think, okay, they're influencers, I always thought to myself, what do they actually influence? Is it? So you say, okay, fine, they're influencers, no problem at all. But the day that whatever they're holding in their hands is taken away from them, the question remains, what impact have you made? So my challenge to anyone who's watching or listening to this now is, you might think I am very popular. You might think, or I'm not me in particular anyway, you might be thinking you're very popular, you might be thinking, okay, I am, but I think you might have to start shifting to how much impact am I making? I think that's the most important thing we have to remember. And I think I'm going to say this now, maybe I might say it again at the end, but we have to remember, it's not about being an influence. It's about being the influence. And when you are the influence, that means you are making impact and you are serving the people. So you're actually the. So because obviously we have to remember that we're all individuals. So we're all created specially. Every person has his own special assignment. So you have to be the influence in your own special assignment. So you're influencing the world based on your own special assignment. And that's what's key. A lot of people are fighting to be influential. A lot of people are fighting to be influencer, whatever it is now. But my focus every day, I wake up in the morning, I pray, I say, Father, I want to be the influence. And I think it's something that we have to remember every single time, because we all have different things that we need to influence to change whatever change needs to make in the world.
So that reminds me of, you know, our industry. Like it says, you know, become the go-to person.
Yeah.
So is that what you mean? So you're the top dog, the number one, the person that is calling the shots, or, you know, when you do an event, everybody comes because you're the main person in your field?
I wouldn't say, to me that wouldn't be my ultimate goal, my ultimate purpose, you see, because I think I said everything about me is impact. So yes, I can do the event and many people can come. But one thing we have to remember too is each of us have been called differently. Some have been called to many, some have been called to a few. Yeah. And we need to understand which calling we have. Have you been called to a many, or have you been called to a few? If you so, because I believe I listened to a video the other day that was talking about how many people the late Billy Graham had influenced. And he kept talking about from the first guy who converted the next guy to the next guy to the next guy, till he got to the story we heard about when the late Billy Graham went to go and cause trouble at his with his friends, and then he went in and he got born again. And I think he's impacted well over nearly 3 billion lives in the world before he died. So you can imagine something like that, as all those people, because whoever has come in contact with him before he became a preacher himself, most of them might have been called to a few, but at least they've raised up one person that has made mega impact in the whole world. Well, there's only about 7 billion people in the world, and he's impacted up nearly 3. That is a massive number you can actually look at. Yeah. So when we understand our calling, you see, because somebody might look at one person and think, okay, I want to have events with 100,000 people coming in to say, people come and watch me. Or maybe that might not be your calling. Your calling might be to find one person and impact that one person, and that one person will be the one that will touch all the other lives that we're actually talking about in the world. So I think we really have to understand that. So if you ask me a question to say, do you want to be a top dog in your game? I know I have focused on what my calling is. I drive myself to my calling every single time. And the most important thing is, as long as I'm playing my part in the area of my calling and making impact is key from because I always say to myself, you know what? Even if it's one person, I'm not playing numbers. When I first went to speak in Nigeria, when I was going to organize the event, my mentor said to me, I told my mentor, I said, look, I heard God say to me I should go to my state, which is Adamawa State in northeast Nigeria. And I was thinking, because I done an event in Abuja, and I was thinking, okay, what next? And I'm thinking, okay, I've done Abuja now. You'll be thinking, okay, it should be Lagos. Why am I going to the north? Where there's less people. And God is doing fine. I feel the calling is for there. I'm just going to go there. And when I told my mentor said, you can either be a hurricane or you can be a termite. Whichever way it is, they all cause damage. But one causes it slowly, one causes it at one sweep. So it's your which one you want to be. And he said to me, Victor, if you go there and you only impact one person, what difference does it make? I said, you know what? I didn't even care, so I'm going to go. And when I went there, I was surprised. The first event I did, they had about 65 people that came for the event. But I went in with a heart that, look, I have come to serve. I'm not come to look for numbers and everyone telling me, oh, you've done that. I said, no. That wasn't the impact was key for me. Serve, impact. I said, create value and attract opportunities. And that's how, and from the Yola, I just did the value serve there. It was after that event there that the door started opening all around the world, literally all around the world. I started traveling other places. So if I didn't listen to that small call to go to the small town and go on, we're not caring whether there's one or two people, then I don't know where I would have been now. But because I could have just thought, nah, it's such a small place, I can't bother to go there. But I just followed. And I went there with a heart. I've only come to serve, I've only come to deliver value, because I feel I have a calling here. And that's where it grew from.
Wow. So what about comparison? Because when you're talking about that, that's what comes to mind in terms of people may be thinking, oh yeah, but Tony Robbins is, being able to speak to 5, 6, 10,000 people. How come I do a Facebook Live and there's only one person, and so why can't I be like this next man that's doing this big thing? And what is that a killer to us making impact if we keep comparing ourselves?
But to me, I think that's the biggest killer ever. The interesting thing is I always love the Gary Vee statement when he said comparison is biggest thief. It's literally the biggest thief. There's no bigger thief than comparison, because I know yes, it's I'm going to give a good example now. I went running one day because I know we're human beings, so thoughts always come to our mind, and then it depends on what we do with the thoughts. They always come, but what you do with it what matters. So I went running one morning, and then as I was running, I saw this guy was running a lot faster, like up in the open. I was like, wow, this guy is a very good runner. Then the thought came to me, and I began to analyze it. When I analyzed it, I realized I said, okay, fine. This guy might be running very fast because maybe he started running. Because normally when I run, when I get to the last like 200 meters, I just sort of sprint, so I'm sort of tired and everything at the end of the day. So I said maybe he was only having his final sprint. And then I was comparing myself to him, thinking, wow, this guy must be very good. Because I don't know his full story. You see?
Yes.
So we need to understand that everybody has their own process. And that's why even now we always say stay in your lane. That statement, stay in your lane. At the end of the day, everybody has their own process. So when you're comparing yourself to somebody, you can't. Where do you even start from? You see, and that's why when something I call my Victor mentoring circle, about 5 things that I normally follow on. And one is individuality, and I stress it every single time. You see, and I've seen if there's anyone that can explain the power of individuality, as in 2 human beings, it will be me, because I'm a father of twins, and the twins I have are the closest to 2 human beings being the same. As in they're what they call they're medically identical. So basically, it was sort of one egg. I don't know the science. Maybe like one egg divided into 2 kind of things. You see, so and because of that, I watch them every day. In as much as physically they look the same, but to me they don't look the same. But everybody else thinks they look the same. But I know that their behaviors are totally different. So if it's the closest that 2 human beings can be the same, scientifically and biologically, then how can you be comparing yourself to somebody else? Every journey is different. And it's one thing I tell everybody, everybody's journey is different. And you know what? I'm so stubborn. Even I want to confess, and I'm so stubborn when it comes to individuality, that even when it's someone's birthday in a WhatsApp group and everyone is typing happy birthday, I will not type happy birthday because just because I don't want to copy everybody else. Till the person has responded to everybody else, then I'll now type my own happy birthday. That's how petty I am, about individuality. I wouldn't everything. My brain constantly plays around. Is this you, or are you trying to copy somebody else? And the biggest mistake these days is they even like people who have coaches or mentors. You now notice them trying to speak like them or trying to behave like them. I always look and think to myself as in, what's this person doing? You see, and because it just clearly shows it's not real.
Yeah,
it's not real. So for me, comparison, as I said, is the biggest thief. It's one of the things that steals so many people's joy in the world. Is comparison. I want to just encourage anybody, watch it now, you watch later. Please just I know it's not. I think it's not easy because you always find yourself drifting towards it every single time. But you just have to remember, we all have different callings. We all have our own wins. We all have our own battles. Everybody's process is different. So that's really.
Wow, everybody's process, everybody's path is different. So you said you have 5. What's the next 4, if you don't mind sharing?
Okay. Next one is clarity, having clear understanding of where you're actually going to. And the next one is gratitude, because I think gratitude for me, I think is absolutely, absolutely powerful. Now the rest are going to disappear from my head now. So let's see how there's individuality, there's clarity, there's gratitude. There's what's the 2 more now? I remember as we go on.
Brother, explain clarity and the other one.
Yeah, for me, clarity is having sort of focus and trying to understand where you're going to every single time. I like in my book Seasons of Life, I spoke about because I mentioned about the importance of when you start a journey, sometimes you don't always see clearly where you're going to. We have to always make the first steps to actually get yourself to where you're actually going to go to. So I think clarity is very important, because I think if your mind is focused on, as I said to you now, I said earlier, I said even someone spent the whole of this lockdown trying to figure out clarity. What do I need to do? Where do I need to go to? I think it's so important. And so I think it's about focusing on what am I doing here? What am I doing every single day? And having that clarity in there. For me, gratitude plays a very significant role. I think it's like being a Christian as well. It makes it easier for me. Because whatever it is and whatever situation you find yourself, now that we're in COVID, we have to just focus on finding what are the positives. Because if you look, you find it. Yes, I understand it might be a tough time for many people. I understand, yes, people have lost their jobs and people have lost their lives and different things have happened over the last few months. But I think one way or another, I think we have to just sit down and think every single time, what can we pull, what can we and what can we pull out of this? And I think it's really, really important for us to focus on that and try and build around it. So for me, I think gratitude is like a daily thing in which I if my mind sits on it, even if I'm driving down the road and something happens, my thought is always, well, thank God that didn't happen. And when you see things that way, I think you always see life in a whole different light. Because as Olivia, I think most of the time you can just find joy. You can just focus on the positives. Because yes, things can get tough, but you just as I said earlier, if God, when God sends you out to do something, you have to pass through the journey to actually get there, which you mentioned earlier. And I always remember the story of when they always say when Joseph had the dream, if they had told him he was going to pass through a pit and all the slavery and everything else, and get to the kingship, he might have been thinking, no, I don't want to do it again. Even the Israelites, when they left the promise, and when they left Egypt, if I told you you're going to go around 40 days, and I said, don't worry, we'll just stay. So because you never know what's going to happen in between till you step out. Then, but obviously, at the end of the day, we have to understand that we all know how the story is going to end. That's why we all know how the story is going to end, but it's all about that enduring right to the end of it.
Yeah. So, with gratitude, do you do any journal? I know I've been hearing this gratitude journal and stuff like that. What do you do anything like that, or?
I don't gratitude journal. Like I journal, but I don't gratitude journal. What I journal is most of the time is like my conversation with God, basically. So when I get up in the morning and whatever is going in my heart at that particular time, I write it down. So it's that kind of thing where I sit down and just it's like I'm talking to God, but I'm writing down what is going in. So it's either a miracle that's taking place, or so sometimes I might be writing thanks to Him. I might be I'll use the word moaning to Him, because I see God as my Father, like my actual Father. So I have conversation with Him. So sometimes I write down the conversation sometimes, because I look at it as it's like I'm building a testimony, basically. So I can always refer back to it and say, on so day, this happened. Because I believe every single stage is a jigsaw that adds onto a mega testimony at the end of the day. So
Wow.
I don't gratitude journal as such, but my journal is more of a conversation with God. I'll put it that way.
So would you say your gratitude springs from joy? You know what the Bible says in Isaiah 12:3 that with joy you will draw water from the springs of salvation.
Yeah.
So would you say in order to to have gratitude, we need to be joyful, always
Yeah,
joyful, even in the time of COVID, pandemic, or trouble?
it's easy to say be joyful, but when you truly and really find yourself in that situation, then I think the joyful part I know is not an easy game. And I think largely to a very large extent, I believe that I believe so much in God's mercy and God's grace. And so even when we stray and we feel that we've not been thankful, because to me, gratitude Bob has been thankful too. Even when we stray and we feel like we've not been thankful, sometimes we fall deeper and deeper in it because we forget that we can always come back to God and say, look, God, I'm sorry, I was a bit naughty there, So sometimes, in fact, I always feel he even allows us to rant, as long as you're not using swear words or anything else. And to me, I feel he's free from the rant. The times which I come to God and say, come on, God, you can just snap your finger and this thing will happen. Why do I have to go through all this? But so I have those conversations sometimes. But I was because I know that there's a process. I always remember Joseph's story. I always remember the Israelites. I always remember stories in the Bible which people had to go through processes. Abraham, there's so many of them where you can name that had to go through tough times. And so when I just focus on that, thinking, okay, fine, you know what? So I sort of call myself back and I say, calm down. But I don't think it's gonna sort of strike me and with thunder, fire, whatever it is, because I said those kind of things. But I know because I believe that we have a relationship with him. So I'm allowed to open up to him and how I exactly feel at that particular time. And then I can now pray about it. So to me, I think it's more of that, you see. So for me, it's easy to say joy, even the Bible says joy of the Lord is your strength. You see, so it's easy to say the joy, but when you're deeply in it, sometimes it's not easy to be joyful, which is the truth I'm going to tell you guys. But still at the same time, because we know, as I said to you, the good thing I always say is, as I love the song by, I think it's, and it must be Elevation Music that says, I'm going to see a victory because I know how the story ends. So I always remember that because it says, I know how the story ends. So I always remind myself, calm down, I know how this story is going to end. And that's what's important.
Wow. We know how the story is going to end. That's good. So, why do we need to go through certain things in order for us to make that impact and have influence? Because I tell people this, that until you go through, you can't break through. I believe you need to go through things in order to come out with a breakthrough. So, why do we need to go through certain? Is it to build capacity? Is it to build character? What's the reason why?
I think for me it's to build capacity most importantly, because as I'm talking to you now, I've been working on something in which I can be opening. I've been working on some with the deal in East Africa, and one of the biggest challenges I faced obviously with COVID, not being able to travel there, not being able to meet the people. Even though I was there in February when everything started. So, but sometimes I ask God, I say, why has it? Because it's taken a lot longer than it should have taken. And there are times in which it gets very frustrating, and it's annoying the fact that I cannot physically go there. You see, and every time I look back, as in there, I've had so many different miracles all along the way up to the point we are now, which are more the concluding stages now. So I've had so many miracles as it went on, like mega miracles as everything went through every single time. And I look back at the little miracles, and I think at all the timelines, and I'm thinking, this is great, this is powerful. And what's important for me at the moment is when I look back and see what I've learned through that process. As I said now, as in you have to go through for a breakthrough. I say you have to have a test for a testimony. So and I believe that to a large extent, if I didn't go through that whole process, it won't be the same at the end. Because so now I know the kind of person I've become because of that process I've been gone through. So I strongly believe to a very large extent, as I say, easy come, easy go. Easy come, easy go. One of the most common examples you see is about people who win the lottery. As in fact, the time I did a speech the other time about this. So I did a bit of research about the speech. And I'm trying to find most people that won the lottery, most of them 2 years, 3 years, the money is gone. But it's just mainly because there was no process they went through to get to it. And you can always see that different behaviors in people who just woke up in the morning and the cash was there. then you see how in one way they behave, maybe everything goes, you can always tell these guys they've not been refined. That's the word. You see, so for me personally, anyone's going through a tough time, to me personally, I feel it's just a time of refining, refining, resetting, preparing you, molding you nicely for the ultimate journey they're actually making. But one thing is just have your eyes, as I said, have your eyes on that goal. As I said, just remember that thing. You know how the story is going to end. As long as you stay faithful to the journey, the story is going to end well.
Awesome. Now, there's something that you did that caught my attention.
Yeah.
I think it was last year. Yes, it was last year. When Misha went to speak TEDx talk.
Okay, yeah.
I wanted to talk about that because that's one of the big ways that someone can learn, to make impact and have influence,
Yeah.
And it caught my attention when I saw the video. I was like, oh, wow. So you just, out of everyone in the crowd, you just ran there to say, I'm going to speak. Tell us about that.
It's a powerful story I must tell you guys, because when I got dressed at home to go out, and I was getting ready, and my wife said to me, I think you've been, that's why I said, always listen to your wife. It's very important. And my wife said to me, why didn't you put on something nice in case you get called to speak? Then I spent the whole time explaining to her what it takes to deliver a TEDx talk. Because I said to her, you have to write the speech, you have to send it in, you have to practice, you have to scrutinize it. I gave her a long story about how impossible. Imagine, she told me something, just say, yeah, maybe. I gave her a story about how impossible it is. And how did I even go for this TEDx talk? It was mainly because Michelle was speaking. When I saw it, I said, oh, fine, quickly. In fact, the moment she shared it on the group we're in, I bought a ticket very quickly. Once I bought a ticket for the event, I said, okay, fine. One thing, we can go there and support her. Secondly, I was thinking of doing a TEDx talk. So I said, okay, I can go and see how the events are organized. So I said, I need to go. So we sat down in the hall, and the lady said, they're going to give opportunity for 5 people to, after the break, to come and give 1-minute talks each. And I was thinking, now I was sitting, because when I go to sit down in place, I want to sit at the top. Even when I go to church, I want to sit in a way I'm looking directly at the stage. I don't want to look left or sideways. So I sat down exactly at the top, same level as the stage, looking directly at the stage. So when she made the announcement, I thought, there is no way on this earth I'm going to get down these stairs and get to this woman in this break time before 1,000 people. Because at least there were like 500 or 600 people in front of me that could get to the stage. So I thought to myself, Victor, it's pointless. Don't even bother. Then I said, hang on. But second caveat is, many people are scared of public speaking. So a lot of people will not go. That's another thing that came to my head too. When I thought, okay, yes, then I stand a chance. So when we went for the break, I couldn't find the woman. So we couldn't find her. Looking up and down for her everywhere else, I couldn't find her. So when I thought, okay, fine, you know what? Now I can't even find where she is. Maybe by the time I find her, she'll have her 5 names by then. But I still thought, no, Victor, I'd rather carry on looking for her and find her, and she says she has the 5 names, than for me to just give up. So I went and looked. Then I saw the other guy that was emceeing with her. He now said, oh, yeah, she went to the loo. I didn't even know where the ladies' loo was, because obviously I have the business ladies' loo. So I went around anyway. I just stood by the stage. We're just talking to Michelle, and then she walks out the door. I just found myself at the right spot.
Wow.
So I said to her, like, oh yeah, I was looking for you actually. She's like, oh, you're looking for me? Yeah. I said, I want to put my name down for the 1-minute speech. She's like, oh, true, actually, she now said, I've not even taken my list yet. I could not believe it. So she didn't even have a piece of paper. She's like, oh, a piece of paper and a pen. And so I gave her my name. She put my name down. And that was it, the 5 of us. So now I thought to myself, I've got to slot to give her a 1-minute speech. And I have to make sure that I do a 1-minute speech that has impact, not just going to go and just blab around because I'm on Texas stage for 1 minute. So I decided I went out and said, how do I construct something useful to say in under 60 seconds, which could be a bit of a hard job sometimes. So I just prepared something quickly in my head or whatever it is. And then by the time I went up the stage, that was it, delivered it under the 1 minute. And I made sure it was a message in which I made sure there was a message in it, not just a normal conversation. And it's quite interesting because, as you said, the men you make impact. It's quite interesting because when I was going home, when I got to the train station, when I walked into the waiting room, I could hear people saying, "Oh, that's the guy, that's the guy." You know, and I was feeling like a superstar because I was like, because I was thinking I must have said something useful and impactful to be memorable. That even when I went to get on the train, I think it was a lady on the train that even came and said, "Oh, well done, great speech." It's that because everyone sort of remembered the speech, and it just clearly shows that there are times in which you're looking at something, you're thinking, "No, there's no way." But I just say, you know what? I'd rather try and fail than not try at all, and that's why I went for it. And most importantly, when your wife tells you things, don't go arguing. I said, I spent the morning explaining to my wife how impossible it was for me to do a TEDx talk on that day that I was going. And he said, that means nothing. As I say, everything is possible. So all you have to do is prepare your mind, get ready. That's it. Get dressed for it. You know, everyone talks about getting dressed as saying, "Oh, you don't have to look smart." I said, no, I don't believe that. Get dressed for it because you just don't know. Always be ready.
That's it. And it's a memorable speech because at the end you said, always listen to your wife. So I think that's what people remember.
Yeah, as well. So everyone remember that part. Yeah.
Because even Misha was pushing me to do TEDx as well. I filled in the application. My wife, you said, listen to your wife. She said, let me see it before you send it. She looked at it properly, restructured some of the things for me. And off, we're still waiting because of COVID. It's taking longer, so we're still waiting for feedback. But guys, that was a powerful story. You know, not to listen to the negativity in your mind that will tell you, hey, you're not ready for that opportunity. Oh, someone else might get there before you. You know, because even if he probably had to run down the stairs and get there, he probably won't get there because he wanted to be there.
Yeah.
You know. And like they say, public speaking is the most scariest thing on the planet for most people.
They say, but I'm always surprised because I don't believe it. I don't see it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know where they got that from.
I know, you know, but some people just cannot speak, you know, and it used to happen to me. I used to speak and I'm sweating, I'm this, I'm thinking, even sometimes now I'm still scared of my heart is beating, but when I start speaking, I'm speaking anyway. Even if I don't care, I just continue. You know, so we've got to do whatever it takes, guys. We've got to build capacity. I think for today, that's the main thing. Capacity, building capacity for more, because we have what it takes to do whatever it is that God has put on our hearts. Sir, thank you very much, man. Today has been amazing. Just before we go, if people want to get in touch with you, if they want to find out more about you, where do they go?
Well, mostly all my handles are at the Victor Tarfa. So we can either follow on Instagram, Facebook. You can find me as Victor Tarfa on Facebook, and so Instagram, Facebook mainly, which are the ones I think I post quite a lot more often now. I'm on LinkedIn too, the same name, Victor Tarfa. So I believe my website for the Victor is currently being built, so which I'm finalizing the thing on it, so that'll be out there shortly too. So you can reach me on all those platforms too. I've got a book out there which is the Seasons of Life too. Tools to cultivate the best in you, which is also available on Amazon. I think I should be working on the second one by now, so I might come looking for Pastor Tunji very soon. So, so it's all out there. So I love to connect to everybody as much as possible. I know Facebook, Instagram, whichever way it is, and you can take the conversation from there. Any questions? Drop me a DM. I'm more than happy to respond.
Awesome, guys. Make sure you connect. And sir, thank you very much. We're looking forward to having you at Kingdompreneur Summit as our MC. I know we couldn't do it this year because of COVID, but definitely next year we are doing it. And thank you for accepting to be the MC for that event. Thank you very, very much. So, guys, like I always say, keep smiling, keep shining, because you've been designed and destined for more than where you are right now, because you have what it takes to make it. God bless you and see you guys soon.